Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Chapter 4.3 Help Notes for Nahmad and Haywood, a new Arabic grammar, Introduction to diptotes, or غير منصرف words. At the end of chapter 4.3, we had built up a table in which we looked at the action of words which determined their case or hal, and a type of word. The only type of word we discovered then was munsarif words, and the signs that they could have. We said that words in a sentence, nouns specifically, could have various types of actions. We came across 1, 2, 3, 4 types. The mubtada, khabar, maf'ulun bihi, a word acted upon by a verb, and ism majroor, a word that was under the effect of a harf jar. The first two became marfu or hal rafa'. The second took on the place nasb, and the third were in the jar case. We said once we've worked out the case, we need to know the type of word, because that will determine the sign that is applied to the word to indicate its case. So just like the medals indicate the rank, the signs here indicate the case. We said that for munsarif words or triptotes, that if the word is indefinite, the first row, and definite second row. If it's indefinite and marfu, it takes 2 dhammas on the last letter. If it is mansub, we take 2 fathas, majroor 2 kasras on the last letter. And if the word is definite, we take 1 dhamma, 1 fatha, 1 kasra on the last letter respectively. The reason English grammarians or Western grammarians call it triptotes, they look at the number of different unique cases, unique symbols that are used. So we have 3, a dhamma, fatha and a kasra. Whereas Arab grammarians don't look at it like that. They look at the presence of a double vowel. Anyway, moving on. Today we're going to talk about a second type of word or noun called غير منصرف, and here is an example. الأوراق في فناجين. So here are some leaves and they're in cups. The leaves are in cups. Let's do an acts analysis. So we're going to look at the action of the words, the consequent case, then the type of word and the sign that we give it. So al-awraq is the mubtada, fi fanajin, fi is a harf jar, and fanajin is ism majroor, a word occurring after a harf jar. So we don't deal now with fi because acts analysis only applies to nouns. Every mubtada is marfu' and every ism majroor is majroor. This is the hal or the case. The word awraq is munsarif and it is ma'rifah. It's got a plus. Why? Because of the alif lam. Whereas the word fanajin is غير munsarif, not munsarif, and it is nakira. There is no alif lam. So a mubtada which is munsarif takes a dhamma, whereas a majroor word normally, if it was munsarif, would take a kasra, but in غير munsarif words it takes a fatha. So that's the sign on the last letter, hence we write al-awraqu fi fanajin. So let's put this into a table. We're going to expand our acts table now. The first row here which we've met are talking about words which are triptotes or munsarif. They can either be nakira or ma'rifa. If they're nakira, then they take an an or in. If we just say the words of the vowels, 2 dhammas, 2 fathas, 2 kasras on the last letter of the noun. And if it is ma'rifa, it takes a dhamma, fatha or a kasra on the last letter. And now we begin to build up diptotes or غير munsarif. So we're going to use the number 2 when they are nakira or ma'rifa. Here we've met a غير munsarif nakira word, and instead of taking 2 kasras, it takes 1 fatha on the last letter of the word. Another important difference between غير munsarif words and munsarif words is munsarif words, when they are nakira, they take a doubled vowel, an or in, whereas at the moment, as we can see, غير munsarif words do not double. They're just a single noun, single vowel, sorry. In this case, a fatha. Let's take another example. Here we're going to make our word definite. Al-awraqu fil fanajin. The leaves are in the cups. Let's look at the examples. Al-awraq is the mubtada. Al-fanajin is ism majroor. We're going to ignore the fi. So all mubtadas are marfu and all ism majroors are majroor in their case. And now we look at the type of word. We said al-awraq is munsarif, it stays munsarif, and it's ma'arifa with an alif lam. And al-fanajin is ghair munsarif, but now it's definite. In the previous example it was indefinite. So let's see what that does. Here the mubtada is marfu, and it therefore takes a dhamma, whereas here the ghair munsarif word is majroor and takes a kasra, which is what we would expect. So al-awraqu fil fanajini. Let's look at this here. So now we build up, we put in the second cell of our acts table, which we're expanding. When we look at the triptotes or munsarif words, when they are definite and majroor, they take a kasra on the last letter of the noun. And likewise, ghair munsarif words, when they are ma'rifa and majroor, take a kasra. So there's no difference between this and this. So they're exactly the same. That's good news. Right, let's take another example. Al-fanajinu jamila. Here, al-fanajin, again, this is an A is B kind of sentence, i.e. al-jumla al-ismiya. So the first word must be the mubtada and second word is going to be the khabar. So that's what we have. The action of the words, this is a mubtada, that's a khabar. The mubtada is always marfu. We're going to talk about the case. And the khabar here is marfu as well. Al-fanajin is a ghair munsarif word, but it is ma'rifa. And jamila is a munsarif word, and it is nakira. And so the sign here is a dhamma, and the sign here is two dhammas. So al-fanajinu jamilatun. So let's update our acts table now. So here it is. We have a ghair munsarif word, which is ma'rifa, and it takes a dhamma, a single dhamma, which is exactly the same as a munsarif word, a triptote, which is ma'rifa. It also takes a dhamma. These two are exactly the same. Right, let's take another example. Here, fanajin. These are cups. So here is a dhamir. We're not going to deal with that analysis at the moment, though it is a noun. Act. So the action of this word is a khabar. It is therefore marfu', and it is ghair munsarif and nakira. That's the type of word it is. And then we look at the sign, and it takes a dhamma. Okay, and here fanajinu. So let's analyze that in our table. Let's update our acts table. So in the acts table, ghair munsarif words when they are nakira take a dhamma, just like munsarif words when they are nakira, they take a dhamma, but they take two dhammas, whereas here ghair munsarif words only take a single dhamma. So this is an important point. Let's look at the next example. Ra'a al-fanajin. So if we go quickly, ra'a is a verb, so we're going to ignore it. Al-fanajin is the thing that's being looked at, so it is the action, maf'ulun bihi. The case of every maf'ulun bihi word is mansub, and it is ghair munsarif. That's the type, ghair munsarif, and it is ma'rifa, or definite, because it has the alif lam. And therefore the sign is going to be a fatha. We will write ra'a al-fanajina. And if we look at this, here, a ghair munsarif word, which is ma'rifa, takes a fatha. Just like a munsarif word, when it's ma'rifa, in the mansub column, also takes a fatha. So these two are exactly the same. And to fill in our last example, ra'a fanajin, he saw the cups. So here, we're not going to analyze ra'a because it's a verb. So our acts analysis, we start with the action of fanajin, it's a maf'ulun bihi. The case, it is mansub, because all maf'ulun bihis are mansub, and it is ghair munsarif, and it is nakira, and therefore it only takes a single fatha, it doesn't take a double fatha. So we will say ra'a fanajina. Let's have a look at this. So we fill in the final blank in our table here. We say that ghair munsarif words, when they are nakira and mansub, they only take a single fatha. So here is a final summary table of what we've learned so far. We've learned that there are two types of words when it comes to nouns. There are munsarif words and there are ghair munsarif words. In all these, they show the sign or the medal of whether they are marfu, mansub, majroor are vowel changes on the last letter of the noun. When it is munsarif, they behave normally. They have two dhammas when it's marfu, two fathas when it's mansub, and two kasras when it's majroor. And when they are ma'rifa, they just take a single dhamma, single fatha, single kasra, depending on whether they are marfu, mansub, majroor. And if you look at غير منصرف words, this row here is exactly the same as this row here. Dhamma, fatha, kasra, dhamma, fatha, kasra. But when a word, a mamnu min as-sarf, غير منصرف word is nakira, then it almost resembles the same, but instead of having a doubled vowel, it only has a single vowel on the last letter of the noun. A dhamma, fatha, kasra, fatha, a single vowel, not two dhammas like that, not two fathas like that. And instead of having a kasra, when it's majroor, it takes a fatha. So instead of taking a kasra, it takes a fatha, and instead of being doubled, it is single. So that concludes the introduction to the second type of noun, mamnu' min as-sarf words. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.